0500 909 693 if you want to pick up the phone on this. We'll move on. The Christian owners of a bakery in Northern Ireland are being taken to court by the Equality Commission over their refusal to bake a cake with a slogan supporting gay marriage. The decision by the Northern Ireland Equality Commission has been described as bonkers by First Minister Peter Robinson.
This kind of decision by the Equality Commission is bonkers. I think they really do need to wind their necks in. At a time when we're scraping around to get funding for essential services in Northern Ireland, they're tossing it into the courts.
The bakery Aisher's, which has a chain of shops, hit the headlines in July when they declined to decorate a cake with the slogan "Support Gay Marriage," and there was a photo of Sesame Street's Bert and Ernie in an embrace. The customer approached the Equality Commission, who said Aisher's had acted unlawfully, and they're now being taken to court. Rory Rafferty is from the LGBT group Newry Rainbow Community. Hello, Rory.
Hello, Stephen. Good evening.
Hello there. And Father Tim Bartlett is a priest in the Catholic Council for Social Affairs. Father Bartlett, Tim, good evening to you.
Stephen, good evening. I wonder, could you maybe phone me back on my other line? I can't hear you, almost can't hear you at all.
Of course, we'll get that sorted. We'll get that sort of behind the scenes. Rory Rafferty, let's kick off with you then while we're sorting Tim out. Why should a company, in this case a bakery, be forced to do something they don't want to do? Why can't the customer just go elsewhere?
Well, quite equally, Stephen, why shouldn't the company be forced? They're providing a service to the public, and 13% of the public in Northern Ireland are lesbian, gay, bisexual or trans. And, why is it that any company should be allowed to discriminate on the basis of sexual orientation? Where does the discrimination end in that case? If a company decided that they didn't want to bake a cake for a black person or indeed a person of some other minority, would that not cause an issue? It causes embarrassment to an individual, and it's unacceptable.
But they're not refusing to serve gay people. They're simply refusing to print a political statement, and that's what supporting gay marriage is.
They offer a specific service whereby they create cakes for certain situations and occasions. So they are in effect refusing to serve a gay person a cake for that specific occasion. A statement supporting gay marriage can be interpreted as a political statement, can't it? And indeed, that's the basis on which the Equality Commission are taking this company to court. Yeah, they have obviously interpreted it that way. The reality here is that the cake was in fact intended to mark Anti-Homophobia Day at a local charities or organisations party. So it wasn't a political cake, it wasn't a political statement of any stretch of the imagination. It was simply a cake purchased to celebrate Anti-Homophobia Day here in Northern Ireland.
Tim Bartlett?
Hi, Stephen. Thanks. You'll appreciate I didn't hear much of the previous discussion there. So what's your question to me? Forgive me, Stephen.
Well, Rory Rafferty is essentially saying that no company should be able to discriminate against someone just because they're gay.
And that's absolutely right, and I would not stand over such discrimination. But I think what is particular about this case is that, I think you've already said, what was being asked for here was cooperation. And now, through the law and the impact of the actions of the Equality Commission, threatened coercion in actively supporting a slogan which itself called on people to support gay marriage. Now, that is both a political slogan, and it's also, for many Christians and other faiths, a slogan that morally they couldn't support. So it throws into question. Where is the proper balance of rights between the right not to be discriminated against, which I wholeheartedly support, but then the right to freedom of conscience and religion? And Stephen, in your earlier piece about the poppy, people died on the fields of France and Germany and elsewhere for the right to hold their own political belief and opinion and not to be coerced into taking a particular view. And in this case, respectfully disagreeing with other people and holding a reasonable belief. And that's the freedom that people like me are defending when we say, look, this is going too far.
People throughout the rest of the UK, I know that you and I are aware of it because we've spoken about it in Northern Ireland, but people throughout the rest of the UK should be aware of just how angry you were about this. You've withdrawn any engagement from gay groups who you were speaking to until this matter is resolved, Father Bartlett. So that's how importantly you're taking this. Rory Rafferty?
Well, I see that as quite ridiculous. You know, an individual in this case has taken Ashes to account for discrimination, and certainly the Equality Commission appear to be supporting that individual. It would appear that Father Bartlett has now decided to discriminate himself against the entire lesbian, gay, bisexual and trans community in Northern Ireland based on this individual.
Well, he's taken a stand based on freedom of expression. The freedom, not freedom of expression, the freedom to choose. He talked about freedom there.
Yeah,
Rory.
but why then should he further discriminate against the lesbian, gay, bisexual and trans population of Northern Ireland by stopping dialogue? I mean, the only useful thing in any discussions here is open dialogue, and as all of the LGBT organisations in Northern Ireland welcome dialogue from all sides.
So if you don't think that this bakery... Sorry, Tim, you want to reply?
Well, you know, I didn't realise that we'd got as far now as to say that my freedom to choose whom I speak to and whom I don't is discriminatory if I choose not to speak to particular groups in society, especially groups who are clearly actively hostile to a right, a freedom that I deeply cherish, and I believe, and many others believe, is at the very core of a truly diverse, democratic and pluralist society. So I'm afraid the sweeping comment that I am now not engaging with anybody in the gay and lesbian community is not only untrue, it's farcical. I continue to engage. Even today, even this afternoon, I was meeting people from the gay and lesbian community. I'm withdrawing from a formal engagement that I was trying to build up and formally arrange between members of the Catholic Church and particular groups who are now actively involved in pursuing this case. So I would ask that Rory would retract the suggestion that I am discriminating against anybody, that I'm exercising a proper freedom about who I speak to and whom I'm not, and that I am not refusing to speak to anybody from the gay and lesbian community. Otherwise, I wouldn't be on this phone right now. Right,
and we've heard you assert your position. Are you saying to me, though, Tim Bartlett, that if I don't know, if someone went into a printer's and wanted leaflets printed for a political party, that the printer should be able to say, I'm sorry, I don't like your political persuasion, get out? Are you telling me that if a public service bus driver saw that a passenger had a logo on supporting, say, the Labour Party, and if they were a Tory, should they be able to say, you're not using this service? What's the difference?
I think the two are different in that... Well, the two are different in that one is an active participation in presenting or developing or producing something. I would not stand over a bus driver, discriminating against anybody accessing a bus, even with a slogan, unless it was something deeply offensive and threatening to public order.
So you would compel the bus driver to provide a service in the journey, but you wouldn't compel a bakery to bake a cake.
But the difference, and I appreciate there's a subtle difference, but sometimes subtle differences are important whenever there's a conflict of rights. The subtle difference is, even if theologically, in moral terms, you can cooperate. It's cooperating in something that you regard as immoral is itself immoral. In other words, actually cooperating in producing something that is promoting, in this case, gay marriage, if you sincerely and reasonably hold a religious or a non-religious view, and there are many people of no religious faith who don't support gay marriage, but if you cooperate in promoting something against your conscience and your beliefs, you should have the freedom not to be obliged to do that in a reasonable way.
All right, really interesting stuff. Father Bartlett, thank you very much. Father Bartlett's a priest in the Catholic Council for Social Affairs, and Rory Rafferty from the LGBT group, Newry Rainbow Community. Thank you. We'll get your calls tonight on this, 0500 909 693. That bakery is now being pursued through the courts. The Equality Commission are taking them to court. What do you think?